Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're gonna talk about acoustic guitars. They're made out of wood, they don't got no amplifier, and you have to have some talent to play them. So buckle up and get ready for a great episode. Hey, nobody told me this thing was turned on.
Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com, and today we're going to talk acoustic guitar tone. Today's guitar, by the way, is the Larrivee D03 Dreadnought. This is one of two acoustic guitars I own. I own this, and I own this Yamaha C40 nylon string guitar. This is about $179. This is more like $1,000. And I know you're going to say, whoa, Mr. budgetguitarist.com. How do you have money to drop $1,000 on an acoustic guitar? I wasn't always Mr. budgetguitarist.com. And about a decade ago, maybe a little bit more, I decided I wanted to buy one really good acoustic guitar that would last me the rest of my life. Right now, if I didn't have a guitar, would I buy a $1,000 Larrivee? Probably not. I'd probably buy something for around $500. Anyway, this is the Larrivee D03. It is an excellent playing and sounding guitar. Today, I'm going to give you 5 tips for judging how an acoustic guitar sounds. So we're not going to talk about bracing. We're not going to talk about tone woods or, this company is better than that company, whatever. What I'm going to do is share with you 5 criterion that George Gruen of Gruen Guitars in Nashville came up with. George Gruen is maybe the world's leading expert when it comes to old acoustic and electric guitars. I would suggest if you want to learn more about acoustic guitars, go check out his channel because he's definitely the expert. What I did is watched about 10 hours worth of his discussions, and I came away with 5 tips that I thought were really good that I wanted to share with the budgetguitarist.com audience. So without any further ado, if you want to judge an acoustic guitar, here are 5 ways to do it. Tip number 1, evenness of volume. Not just among all the strings, but all the way up the fretboard. So when you play a chord, each note should be just as loud as the next. And so when you hear the full chord, you hear all 6 strings. You can hear all 6 notes in there. It doesn't sound like this. Right? And as I play each string, listen to the volume. Very even. This is a sign of a good acoustic guitar. If one of the strings is not as loud as the others, or if the treble strings, the high strings are like way softer than the bass strings, then you don't have a nice even sound. So then that means that if I go up the fretboard, it should be the same volume. And it is. Two, sustain. Do all 6 notes sustain out? Or do some notes, when you play them, die within like 4 seconds? That's pretty good sustain. And if I ring out E major chord, pretty good. Tip number 3, range. And by range, what I mean is dynamic range. So if you are it's hard to tell, but I'm picking really hard. Or I can pick softly. The thing is, YouTube's compression algorithms are going to screw this entire section up. So Just take my word for it that you can play quietly and loudly on here, and it's not like the notes buzz. They ring out still very true, no matter how hard I pick them. That's pretty hard. Number 4, complexity of tone. This one's going to be a little difficult to explain, but as I hit a note, I want you to listen to the note and then listen to see if you can hear the fundamental tone, right? And then some of the overtones. It's almost like you can hear a sine wave at that note, like going at the exact same time. So a complex tone, well, that's what it sounds like. One of the things that you should always do if you're buying or judging an acoustic is you should play all of the frets. Now, I will freely admit that I've had this guitar for a decade, maybe longer. I've never done any fretwork on it. So there are a few flat spots, but to me, to my ear, they're not bad enough yet for this thing to have a level crown. At some point in time, they will be, but I'm going to hold off as long as I can. But like what I will do is I'll do that on each string, etc. and so on. Okay, so then number 5, balance of articulation. Each note that you pick should be clear and clean, very much like So there you go. 5 tips. 1 is volume balance. 2 is sustain. 3 is range. 4 is the balance of the complexity of the tone. And 5 is the balance of the articulation. Being able to hear the attack and the sustain and the decay of each string no matter where you are on the fretboard. So if you're judging an acoustic guitar, these 5 things are some really good things to look at. You'll also discover, depending on the price range you're in, that some guitars naturally are built to have like more bottom end, and some guitars are built naturally to have a brighter sound, like a more crisp trebly type of sound. And I think I just described Martin and Taylor basically. So something to think about. Number 1, you want your guitar to be very playable, but then number 2, what you really want is an even tone. Be careful buying an instrument that has an exaggerated low end or an exaggerated high end. If you were going to judge one thing of the 5 things, I would say evenness of tone is probably the most important. All the strings sound the same. A really good piano is the exact same way. So there you go. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please click the little bell thingy. This was a little bit of a different thing for me today. I don't normally cover acoustics because I'm not really an acoustic player. But I thought these points that George Gruen came up with were very interesting. And again, if you're really interested in acoustic guitar, go check out his channel. Okay, thank you very much for watching. And I will see you next Friday at 5. Tony, come on. You're up.
I ain't ready yet, Ricky.
What's the matter? You got a stitch loose?
Oh, that's really funny guy. Ha ha ha. You let me do the comedy bits. You ain't funny.
I'm kind of funny.
Listen, Bally, I know comedy, and you ain't it.
No, seriously, what's wrong?
The stupid microphone is broken.
Oh.
Eleanor Rigby. Da 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 da. Thank you very much.